The new beat show that's go, go, go.
The days of the Light programme, very formal situation, although the Light programme was a fairly informal network, because disc jockey programmes as such were produced like every other programme in that everyone had to write a script beforehand, and the disc jockey sat in a little box, and outside an assistant studio manager played the records, and somebody else mixed the sound, and somebody else produced it. So it was a four-man team to make a disc jockey programme. And of course the arrival of the Pirates changed all of that, because here were a bunch of guys who not only picked their own music but just sat down there and played it. They physically played the records, they didn't have a script, and they put the whole thing together, and they were in total control. So it was the change of culture that was needed to set up Radio 1.
And, as one cannibal said to another,
Picture white man
mixed with yellow chinkies.
Oh, we try harder, yes we do.
If you lump it all together,
Can you tell me what you got, baby?
well, you got a recipe for a little long scene. Oh, what a beautiful dream.
here we go! Come on, come on, come on!
What we need is a great big melting
It's considerably tidier studio than you had last week.
Well, I had a bit of time to clean it up afterwards for once, you see.
The producer of the programme that I was doing then was just called Top Gear, the man called Bernie Andrews, who was a visionary, really, and had been, during the whole of it, not a difficult man at times, but a man who'd helped the Beatles a lot in their early days and early sessions with the BBC, and was treated with respect and affection by them.
My first encounter with John Peel was probably about August 1967, because I had a new programme coming up called Top Gear. It was a return of a previous programme I used to do with Brian Matthew. And having heard him on the Perfume Garden, on the pirate ships, and I'd heard about him from other people, I thought, that's the guy I want to do my programme. And he came up to my office to see me, and he didn't have shoelaces like most other people did. He had like lengths of plastic wire going through his shoes instead of shoelaces. And I thought, he's really weird, this bloke. I thought, but that's who I want.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Top Gear. Yours truly, Pete Drummond, here with you until 5 o'clock this evening. This is the first edition of Top Gear, the show we hope will help you after your Sunday lunch of roast beef and Yorkshire pudding. We also have a lot of groups live on the show. The first three have records in the top 10 currently. The Move, Traffic, will be doing their first live broadcast, and tomorrow featuring Keith West, also making their first broadcast. Also live are the Pink Floyd, the Senate, and from the United States, Tim Rose and Big Maybell.
You have to remember that in those days, Drummond was the main presenter when the programme started, and Peel was a co-presenter on every third or fourth week, and I think it wasn't until November that he and Pete Drummond became regular presenters.
And last, but by no means least, Mr. John Peel. Good afternoon to you, Jonathan.
Well, good afternoon, Peter. I think you read that beautifully, and it's very nice to be with you on BBC programme number TLN 39PH433Q, affectionately known as Q.
And now, a song from Jefferson Airplane from California, White Rabbit.
Actually, before MI5 transferred me from California, I attended the recording session at which this was made, and it's very beautiful too. I'd like to play it for a very special person this afternoon, the bailiff who sits in the sitting room of Peel Acres 24 hours a day.
One pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all.
As far as listeners went, it seemed to be go down very well. But as far as my management went, and the controllers of Radio 1, they didn't like him at all. And I got wind back very quickly that they didn't like him, and they didn't want him ever booked again. And I said, well, I've already booked him. And they went stark raving mad.
You have a picture of Tony Blackburn up there.
Yes, well, that's there basically as a cautionary tale, I think, because it seems to me, with the best will in the world, that Tony has become a victim of this star-building DJ thing. And I think it's very sad.
Exactly 9 o'clock here on Radio 1. Hi, Jim.
How are you, then?
Very well, thanks.
I think I've just broken the track record, actually, for...
What have you done? Oh!
Yeah.
You have you?
1 minute and 35 seconds.
You sound all puffed out.
That's only because I'm puffed out. What are you doing, you man fool?
Oh! Got carried away there, Jim.
If you listen to Radio 1 for an entire week, or a year even, you won't hear anything at all that relates to anything that's going on. You know, it's just all... It's incredibly predictable... sort of porridge, really, just meaningless.
Radio 1, you're the only one for me.
Hi, good people. Welcome once again to Top Gear, the program that looks beyond the pop horizon. Our studio guests today are Elmer Gantry's Velvet Opera, The Family, The Herd, J.J. Jackson, The Jimi Hendrix Experience, and The Kinks.
Just turn that dial, make your music worthwhile. Radio 1, you stole my gal.
And every place shall be my native home.
At the time, I was going out with a lot of different people, and I've always said this, but it was true, that mostly there were sort of models that didn't model and actresses that didn't act. And they would all sit around, and I'd say stupid things, and they'd go, wow, man, that's really beautiful, yeah. And Sheila would just say, hey, you're a daft bugger, like this. And I used to think this was grotesquely disrespectful. And then over a period of time, it dawned on me that I was indeed a daft bugger, and that she was absolutely right. So, but over a period of time, the models disappeared and the actresses disappeared, and Sheila stayed.
In time, her hair grew long and swept the ground.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Don't know, that used to be Kevin Howlett's office. He did a lot of documentaries, funny boy, quite nice in his own way. 318, this is it. Now you see... no, it's difficult, but that's not the what it said originally, because that's on my fridge at the moment. Andy Kershaw unscrewed it and sent it to me through the post. But this is the office where, for about 20-odd years, whatever it was happened. Oh. It's a bit tidy. Gosh. One of these chart things about sales. Well, it wasn't at all like this in my day. Not at all.
Tweedledum and Tweedledee, how would you like to put it? I mean, they were very much a pair. I wasn't sure who was the performer and who was the producer from time to time, because Waters has got his own charm and wit and humour, and since leaving Radio 1 has established himself as a broadcaster of some merit. No, they were good fun. And rebels. They sometimes put the curse on me if they thought I was being too commercial and too adventurous.
Peel, he'd be like the water divider. He'd go out with the rod moved for him. He'd suddenly boink, and he'd think, it's here, the energy's here, it's here. He didn't know why, he didn't know what it was. I'd have to go back to the car, get the spade and dig it till the water came through. So I'd have to go to the studio with the people when he'd said, Mark Baldwin, for instance, Tyrannosaurus Rex. And he'd say, oh no, he's a big mate of mine and he's really good. And I thought, oh, all that Larry the Lamb, whinnying stuff, I thought, this isn't me at all. But of course, when I had to do it, I thought, actually, Peel's right, there is something here. Not as much as Mark thought there was, he thought he was a genius.
Like the dove in which the sun arose. The man of early shadows on his cheekbones. as rows of chintz were wilting in the snows.
It's time now for the second poem from Mark, which is going to be...
No title.
No title. No title. Untitled piece number 2.
A ship of rhythm lit like a beacon, tossed like a ferret on the wings of fleeing night, snuggled like an acorn, withered like the willow, wandered by the sky-cloaked founder of precious light. His nose was a cliff top unto me, an ocean swelling and talking was lost in the lonesome lands of his kind hand.
Peely sat there and he suddenly said, he sort of looked up, well, that's the end of another Top Gear, John Peel. Me and John Peel saying goodbye next week. I don't know what it was, John Heisman's Coliseum and Fairport Convention. And then he said, well, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to go down to Hyde Park now and I shall watch the clouds writing poems in the sky. And I thought, that's got to stop.
Don't forget it's on station.
I always characterised the relationship between Walters and myself, and it is quite accurate, and he would probably agree, although he disagrees with most of the things that I say. It was like a man and his dog, with each believing the other to be the dog. It worked, it worked very well. He was very skillful in debate, and within the awful meetings that you have at the BBC with management and so on, he was, I mean, he could out-argue them easily. So I just got on with sorting out the records and the music, and he took care of business.
I said, hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. Sweet Mary Lou, I'm so in love with you. I knew Mary
There was
Lou.
a limit on the number of records you could play, so sessions had been created almost rather cynically to fill time with music. And of course, John said, no, if we're going to have live music in our programmes, we're going to do it on the artist's terms, and we're going to give them freedom to explore and to develop and to experiment with their music, and if it takes 16 hours or 20 hours, that's what it takes.
My boots on my feet and my hat in my hand.
People often used to say to me, yes, you've had some good successes. Oh, sure, you've had some groups who weren't well known and became huge because you had them on and all that sort of thing, and you've helped. But you've had a lot of failures, a lot of people who were never heard of again. No. They never seemed to understand that there were no failures, there were no successes. Peel was rather like an important art gallery, in the sense that if, I don't know, David Hockney, Damien Hirst, all these artists and so on, if they'd have been coming through the system, they'd have been on the Peel show.
Oh, John, this one's for you. Pass the ball, Jim, kick it to me, and I will score. Where is the ball, Bill? Right by your feet. Where did you say? Right by your feet. Thanks, Bill. Over to you. Thanks for the ball, Jim. Watch me score. Bill, your lace is undone. You're sure to trip as you run. Just as I thought, Bill, you're flat on your face. I'd better take your place. Although I'm not an ace, I've scored a goal. Give me a kiss, Bill, we've won the card.